Well, a final verdict on the Vinesh Phogat disqualification case, which happened at the Paris Olympics 2024, has been extended until August 13. Well, the date that was given to us was today at 9:30 p.m. There had to be an update, there had to be a final decision, but then the arbitrator of this particular case has extended the date till August 13, which means that we'll get to know the final decision only by the early next week.
This is unprecedented. Let me tell you one thing about how Court of Arbitration for Sports has done it, okay? Now they are going back on their own statement that they had issued, okay?
Yes.
When the statement was released that Court of Arbitration for Sports will have to give the deadline, they have to give the verdict before the end of the Olympics. Now the Olympics ends, if you have to look at Paris time, it ends on the 11th. If you look at India time, it ends 12th early morning at 2:30 a.m. Now, bypassing both of that, Court of Arbitration for Sports has now decided that they will give the verdict on August 13th. Now, what can it mean? Because they have taken a delay, they have taken so much time in it, two things can be inferred from it.
Yeah.
One, they want to be absolutely sure that when they give that statement, when they give the full report, there leaves no scope for criticism.
And there might just be a scope of criticism even if they take care of most of the points or most of the relevant points, because there might, going forward, they'll have to be prepared for what might come in the next Olympics or any of the most important events that take place. So we can always, take the example of, Simona Halep's doping case or maybe Maria Sharapova's meldonium case. There were cases where, there was decided that certain Maria Sharapova wasn't an intentional doper, but then going on, there was some amendment of the laws also. And if Vinesh Phogat by any chance is actually awarded a joint silver, there have to be some kind of things that have to be amended going forward. And obviously with any decision, whether it is made, when it is made at a global level, there's always backlash, and at the very same time there's always there's support too.
Number two, you can interpret it in a way that this could brighten Vinesh's silver chances.
But I do not agree with it.
I'll tell you, because there is only one possible reason why Court of Arbitration for Sports has delayed it.
Yeah.
Number one, whatever ruling that they do, they are revisiting the rules at this point in time, and what they are doing is to ensure that Court of Arbitration for Sports leaves out a statement, puts out a judgment that will be there for each and every Olympics that comes from this point in time.
And at the very same time, we have an update from a reporter who is on the field there, Nikhil Nazi, has written that the ad hoc division of the Court of Arbitration of Sport has extended till 6 p.m. on August 11th. So final decision will be taken on August 11th, and it's not going to be August 13th. That's the latest update that we have for you. For the sole arbitrator, Honorable Dr. Annabel Bennett in the Vinesh Phogat versus United World Wrestling and the International Olympic Committee to issue a decision. The reasoned order will be issued at a later date, which is August 11th. Once again, I'm reiterating that it's August 11th and not August 13th.
Okay, so earlier it was 13th, right? Now Dr. Annabel Bennett, who's the chief arbiter in this case, to issue a decision, the reason order will be issued extended to 11th, not 13th. So now, okay, now then it makes sense. Now then it makes sense, because the earlier verdict of CAS said that the decision had to be made before the Olympics ended.
Yes.
So that means 6 p.m. tomorrow, if you look at it, India time, right? That's what it was said. Okay, it will be 6 p.m. could be
Paris time, which means around 9:30 p.m. tomorrow, again, in 24 hours from now approximately.
24 hours at this point in time, you are going to see yet again.
Yes, and August 11th is the confirmed date.
Yes, so August 11th, that is the decision at that point when you are going to see the silver medal decision being made. Now, okay, let me tell you the timeline of what has happened.
Now, Siddharth, before we get to the timeline, I want to ask you a question here. Why do you think that this delay in judgment is actually brightening Vinesh's chances of getting a joint silver. Personally, I don't agree with this, because usually when it happens that, such kind of decisions, when they take time at a personal level, what I feel is that the ruling might not specifically be in the athlete's favor, because usually when things take a lot of time, it's about more deliberation, more discussion, more constructive criticism, and more importantly, it's about the feedback that has to be taken from the relevant stakeholders to make a very considerate and a careful decision. That's just my opinion, because it's not just about looking at one perspective, it's about looking at 100 different perspectives, and that might not necessarily be that. And generally also in our personal life too, or maybe in normal life too, we see that the decisions usually take a lot of time from the third party. We know that if there is a delay, then somewhere down the line there's something missing, or there's something wrong.
See, let us once again reiterate the fact, this is not an assurance that Vinesh is getting the silver. Okay,
yes,
probably I'll give you 3 reasons why CAS is delayed the thing. 1, they want to be absolutely sure that whatever judgment they make, it does not have a big impact on the wrestling sport.
It does not have a loophole.
It does not have a loophole. Number 1. Number 2, perhaps they are exploring a compromise solution, which both parties are probably happy with it in a way.
But what could be the possible compromise solution from the Indian contingent or for the Vinesh Phogat thing? I don't think they can be particular. She wants the medal. She wants a joint silver. What else could be the compromise here?
The compromise is the medal, the entire system that is there of wrestling, the weigh-in period, all these kind of things, the weight and all those things, that might get changed. Okay. Number 3, perhaps they feel that the Indian argument is strong, because it is like Jordan Burroughs, the guy who started the tweet, and because of this everything has become a roller coaster thing at this point in time. What that has happened is, maybe CAS is now wondering, okay, can UWW or IOC revisit the rules? There's theories that I'm putting out. I'm not saying that, this is going to happen. I'm just thinking, okay, what can be the possible reason that they have changed the deadline again?
Yeah.
Because
tomorrow.
That's what I said.
Tomorrow, August 11th.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's confirmed.
August 11th is confirmed at this point in time. And okay, this is the 3 reasons that I have said. Now, there will be broad ramifications if you give her the medal or don't give her the medal. If you give her the medal, I am looking at it from a very realistic point of view. There is no bias, there is no nothing in it. Okay. Please understand one thing, that whatever I am about to say now has got no bias or any personal grudges against Vinesh Phogat. Please understand that.
Go on.
If you give the medal, you are actually putting the legitimacy of wrestling under question. Because you have to understand that when Vinesh came into this whole thing, she was like, okay, I signed up for it. I know the weight loss thing and all these kind of things. It was extreme, and that is why give me the medal. The second loophole, I have reached the final. So I think I played all the other 3 things very fairly. I deserve the medal. I think it is this argument which is probably making CAS think. Although, let me just tell you that UWW and IOC have also given their points, so they'll have to consider both.
True.
Where will the maximum collateral damage occur?
But Siddharth, if I have to ask you just one thing that comes first to your mind when I ask you this question, there have been arguments presented by both the parties.
Yep.
And in case of Court of Arbitration for Sport, we have seen it in the past that most of their decisions do not take that much of a time, maybe 72 hours, 96 hours, or maybe a week or 2 weeks. Usually most of their decisions are made very, very quickly. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask you what could be the possible reason why this is getting delayed?
When you were doing the story, Siddharth, that there have been 5 previous instances.
Yeah. Yes.
5 previous instances of CAS.
That they have Simona Halep, Maria Sharapova, Man City, who was, handed a 2-season suspension.
What was the compromise? They reduced the fine, or they reduced the tenure of the ban.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You saw in 3 of those past 5 instances of Court of Arbitration for Sports that the tenure was either reduced or the fine was reduced.
Exactly.
Okay. But this is an individual sport. Now, in this individual sport, you got a medal at stake. This argument has been dismissed. Like, oh, can I play the final? No, that will not happen again.
That's not happening.
That's not happening.
At best, Vinesh can get a joint silver.
Joint silver. But it sounds also very awkward. You never win joint silver. Okay?
Exactly.
You never win it. Okay. But as I have said, if you give Vinesh the medal, there are massive problems in wrestling then. But if you don't give Vinesh the medal, then you are staring at loopholes which will have to be revisited. What I think Court of Arbitration of Sports might do, let's assume the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is Vinesh doesn't get the medal.
Yeah.
But they will tell UWW and IOC, boss, this kind of situation should not arise. Please amend the rules for the next Olympics. That might be the one instance where CAS will be, that I think is the compromise solution.
Okay.
Change it. Vinesh has fought for it. Maybe she wanted a change in the system. Maybe she's getting it. Maybe. But as far as the medal is concerned, I have pointed out there's no prejudice, no bias in it. You will have problems in it. And Vinesh is not the first individual to suffer from this issue. There have been countless wrestlers who suffered. I mean, I'll give you one example. Rei Higuchi was disqualified from Tokyo. Why? He was 50 grams over.
Yeah.
You were 50.05 and he's disqualified. Now, if you give Vinesh the medal, then legally you are setting a very bad precedent at this point in time.
True.
But as I have said, Vinesh might have a case. That's why CAS is looking very, very closely into this. But okay, you are not wrong in stating that, okay, if I get it delayed, then she's probably not getting it.
Yeah.
But then the criticism will be why then so much time was taken. But again, remember, framing the rule, framing the operative part, framing all the laws that will be in place for a potential system change, for a potential medal change will take time. So that is why the verdict has gotten delayed by 24 hours. Initially it got 72 hours, but then I felt that, man, it's unprecedented. How can CAS not give a verdict before the Olympics ends?
That's why the word unprecedented was used by Siddharth, because it has never really happened that a problem or a controversy that has transpired during the Olympics has been stalled during the time frame of the 2 weeks during which the mega event takes place. And that's why when it was earlier said that the final decision might be taken on August 13, that's where the problem basically arose.
This is unprecedented in the Summer Olympics. Let me add that. Okay,
Yes.
for people who will say this is unprecedented in the
Summer Olympics, yeah.
In the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City when it happened, at that time there was a tussle between Russia and Canada. At that point in time, if you look at it, perhaps then it took them 2 years, by the way. It took them 2 years to ensure that they got the medal at this point. So there are several arbitration experts, there are several sports law experts who are there. CAS might probably be tempted. Now, the decision will now bind on, maybe we'll have to revisit our own things.
Yes.
So that is why they have given another Tariq.
True.
So Tariq pe Tariq has happened in the case of CAS at this point in time. If you go in, there is another Tariq now, and that Tariq is 11th. So 11th of August now will be the key date, and we have all been building up for 7 hours. When CAS decided that, I think the press release might be with you, Sid, if I'm not mistaken.
So it's the one that I have already read out.
No, the other one which came in the evening, which you remember, you can check that out. We got a press release. Yes, this one. Okay.
I'll just open it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we will show this to you, and I'll come right in that we are not lying or anything at this point in time about this. Okay. So
yeah, please.
If you look at it, okay. We had shown you this particular instance, okay, if you can view it, that decision to extend the 24-hour time limit, it came at that particular point in time. So, we got it at 2:30 p.m. IST, okay, we got it at 2:30 p.m. IST, and then after that, what we saw is, we waited until 9:30. Court of Arbitration decided that, okay, 9:30 we'll give it. But the unfortunate part is, it has not happened. So now we'll have to wait for another 24 hours before now then, if we say, the Vinesh verdict will come out. But whatever way you look at it, for the drama that it has cost you, for the drama that the anticipation, the tension, I think you're going to see something unprecedented happen. Either Vinesh doesn't get the medal, sports court decision on medal, which will happen tomorrow. Whatever happens, you're either looking at a bleak future for Vinesh or looking at a bleak future for wrestling. Court of arbitrations probably preempting that and has delayed the whole thing at this time. So it is going to be very, very interesting. But
and before we just get to your comments or any of the other details that we might just get in the next few minutes, let's just have a look at some of the cases wherein the decisions by the CAS, by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, were actually overturned. I'll just skim through them very quickly. So there was this case of Manchester City, a famous football club, obviously, that is there in UEFA. They were banned from competition for 2 seasons, and primarily because they had broken the financial fair play regulations. But when they appealed against this, so there was a hearing. The CAS then ruled the final decision in Man City's favor by saying that they did not disguise equity funding as sponsorship contributions. Then there was this case of former Wimbledon and French Open champion in tennis Simona Halep. She was initially banned for 4 years for violating the anti-doping rules. So in her appeal, she later said that she even blamed the contaminated supplements that she had taken for a positive test at a tournament, which I remember was US Open. And she even accused the International Tennis Integrity Agency for charging her with an athlete biological passport violation. Later, there was an independent committee at the tribunal. They listened to Halep's argument, and her 4-year doping ban was cut to 9 months. Now let's just get to just one final case before we take your comments. 5-time Grand Slam winner Maria Sharapova, she was initially banned by the International Tennis Federation for 2 years after testing positive for meldonium, a substance that she had taken at the 2016 Australian Open. There was an appeal then to the CAS by Sharapova. She said that she had been taking the drug since 2006 for health problems and hadn't tried to use the meldonium as a performance enhancing substance. Now this is a term that is actually used a lot in any of the sports that are being played across the globe. The CAS panel, in their final ruling, they said that Sharapova's case was never about the athlete who cheated or maybe who tainted the image or tarnished the image of the sport. And they also went on to say that Maria Sharapova wasn't an intentional doper.
Yeah. So you have on the screen right now the official press release that came in the afternoon. In that, they are clearly said to give a decision until 10th August, 6 Paris time, meaning 9:30 today. But now, revisiting the whole thing now, it's certain that you're going to get it tomorrow. But if there is an extension after that,
then it's going to be unprecedented.
Then it will be unprecedented. And I think this entire drama that has come about is a futile exercise then.
True.
But whatever way, I will not be cheerleading any particular thing. A verdict is a verdict. The judgment is a judgment. Whatever happens will have greater ramifications for the sport, will have greater ramifications for Vinesh Phogat.
As I even also said earlier, that it's not just about making one decision. You'll basically have to take care of the future perspectives also, or the things that might arise or might lead to backlash if this decision is actually turned in Vinesh's favor. So let's just take a few comments before we wrap up.
Before we wrap it up. And Ashish is saying delay means Vinesh has a strong defense and CAS are waiting for wrestling events to conclude at Olympics. CAS might suggest UWW to relook at looks. Not necessary, Ashish.
But delay not necessarily means that Vinesh's chances are brightening. It could very well be a case wherein they are not just revisiting the rule books, but then as Siddharth correctly pinpointed, there might just have to be a compromise wherein Vinesh might not get her medal, but at the very same time the Court of Arbitration for Sport, it asks the UWW or even tells them to make some amendments to the current laws which already have some loopholes.
Yeah. So RK, I first hope that you get some brains and use some proper language.
That's absolutely fine.
I know.
It's okay.
There has been a precedent of gold medal being shared, so there is no issue. Silver is shared. The problem is existing rules based off silver. So RK, I'll use that same 2 words to you, and I'll call you that, because the situation that was there at that point in time is different. It is totally different. You are equating this particular thing. Who has 2 losers? Then the American fought 2 guys and then she won the gold and there were 2 losers. You never ever get it. Understand one thing, under very exceptional circumstances you get a gold. So I'll tell you one more thing. Doping. Now, doping will mean, okay, you have lost any medal at any stage. In wrestling, weigh in, if you are overweight, it is as equivalent to doping, but it is not doping. Okay, you had no control over your weight, so it's a problem with you. It isn't a problem with anything else at this point in time. So it is really, it was built up to such a thing. Perhaps we'll get a closure to this, but no. Court of Arbitration for Sports just wants to prolong our agony at this point in time.
That's okay. Dark Knight has a comment. I'm not sure, which Sid he's referring to, but
Must
Sid,
be
brilliant
you.
analysis. No, I can never be, I'm always second best when it comes to you and I. Okay?
But
So that brilliant analysis and just an opinion.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
I know that, see, some people are saying, oh, it is this and all that. Look, boss, we are funded by our own bosses. Okay, that is the thing. There is no funding done by anybody else. Then that means your opinion that you're doing here, you are funded by someone else then.
Okay,
isn't it?
That's fine. That's fine. King D has a comment, has a question. In fact, what's the point of getting a medal like this? Just let it go.
No, you can't let it go, King D. Because in India, there is this thing that Vinesh has been victimized. No,
True.
You haven't been victimized. You did not know that this situation was there. You knew the rules. You could not do it. So that is why I would just request, have a detached opinion. If you have a huge problem, say if you have a problem with the judgment, you're fine. If you don't have a problem with the judgment, then also it's fine. But there will be broader ramifications at this point in time. So, bro, the rules are not, Jeevan Jyot, and then we'll wrap it up, okay?
Yeah, last comment.
The rules are not clear. There are major loopholes. See, how can Vinesh's disqualification lead to a semi-final loser getting the final match and getting silver? Jeevan Jyot, that is the thing that you're missing, my friend. In any sport, the one who lost, because he or she has been disqualified either through doping, either through weigh-in or all these other things, they will be elevated.
Exactly.
Jeevan Jyot, that is the thing. There are no major loopholes. Everything was done according to the rules. The same victim mentality that India is playing upon happened in the case of Nishant Dev also. Today, 1-1. Ritika Huda lost 1-1 in a tiebreaker.
Yes.
You know what is a tiebreaker rule in wrestling? If you get the point in the last few minutes, whoever got it late will get the point. So, in just by the barest of margins it happened. And semi-final loser, and even you look at it, even the Japanese went through, but then Vinesh went to the final. All the others who were beaten went into rapid charge.
Exactly.
There was no major loophole. Jeevan Jyot, please understand one thing. You cannot twist the rules for your own personal belief. You have to look at the broader sport. If you give a medal to Vinesh, India hasn't won. You have pushed wrestling one step closer to its death. If you don't give the medal to Vinesh, wrestling will have to revisit the rules. So
Exactly.
in both ways, CAS would want to avoid a double whammy. That's why I think they're taking too much time at this point. So
that's, I think, pretty much about it that we have from our end. So for all those who have just joined us, the latest update that we have for you is that the final verdict on the Vinesh Phogat's
11th August.
disqualification case has been pushed to August 11th. Earlier, it was slated for today at about 9:30 p.m. IST. But then the arbitrator wants to take more time to look more into the matter, to have some more exhaustive details, and hopefully we'll have a final verdict by August 11th, 9:30 p.m. IST. That's all we have from our end. What do you think about Vinesh Phogat's disqualification case? Should she be awarded a joint silver, or do you have any different thoughts? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for all the exciting updates and the stories that we bring to you
and
from Olympics.
we are nearing a very
sports.
important landmark of 500K.
We are just just reaching there. Help show us some
Help
love.
us get there by
subscribe.
tomorrow if you can. The last day of the Olympics, if you can, try getting us there by tomorrow. It will be a monumental landmark because we do all this for you passionate fans at this point in time. So
show us some love, tap that bell icon, press the subscribe button, and until then, on behalf of Siddharth Vishwanathan and my producer Shashwat, it's Siddharth Gulati saying good night.